Troubled crypto exchange Bitfinex has come out in protest against the actions of the New York Attorney General. In a filing made on Sunday, counsel for Bitfinex claimed that an injunction, as per the one requested by the New York Attorney General, would actually detriment Bitfinex, Tether, the crypto market, and the participants which the New York General actually claims to be protecting. The filing goes on to say that even though Bitfinex did borrow $850 million from sister company Tether, and even though the move was material and they probably should have disclosed it, the move doesn't constitute fraud. Now, Frank, you broke the story. What do we know? We know that Bitfinex gave Crypto Capital $850 million.
So Crypto Capital is a very interesting firm, and basically, as any market observer knows, since the beginning, these exchanges have had a very difficult time securing those banking relationships. So this Panama firm, Crypto Capital, has worked with firms like Kraken, obviously Bitfinex, but Bitfinex has had issues securing banking since the beginning. They sued Wells Fargo in 2017 when they cut them off, et cetera. And so what we know right now is the fact that Crypto Capital, which basically had some of Bitfinex's money, that money was locked up and seized, right? And so what they did to make up for that was borrow from their sister company, and they didn't really disclose that to their investors and clients, and that's why they're in hot water right now.
So I'm going to ask a tough question here. Do we know that the money has been locked up and seized by governments? Because it kind of sounds weird to me that the governments are with three Ps, Poland, Panama, and Portugal. You know, they have just locked up $850 million.
Well, that's the speculation right now that's in the market, and it's nobody really knows what's going on, and we've seen cases like this pop up very recently in greater numbers. Here you have Bitfinex saying that the regulators are acting in bad faith. They did what they could to have banking relationships to serve and operate as such, and them arguing that, for one, the New York Attorney General doesn't have even the authority to sort of make some of or rather act in the way that they are to shut down the business and investigate, because they're not, it's not a commodity that they're dealing with or regulated by them. So it's a thorny situation that's going to be interesting to watch.
And
to hear what you think.
$1 billion IEO, that would make it the biggest IEO that this industry has ever seen, and probably the biggest ICO under EOS, let's say. Do you think they're going to raise the money with all these shenanigans?
I've seen crazier things happen in the crypto market. You know, it doesn't surprise me that's the route that they're going. The capital is what fuels these businesses, and so if they don't have access to the capital, they can only do these intercompany loans for so long and kind of exist on the resources they do have, and so the likelihood that they'll go out and raise capital is high. Whether they can raise it or not is the big question.
I don't think they're going to have that much trouble for one reason, and that's because high-frequency traders, especially in Asia, still really love this product. You know, the traders I talk to in Asia, they're still using Tether, and they want to see the system and framework around it, continue to be strong, and I think that you'll have an easy time convincing those guys to invest.
So speaking of Asia, let's cross over to one of the Bitfinex shareholders from Asia. Zhao, thank you for joining us here on the line. You got the white paper very early, and you circulated the white paper very early. How did you get the white paper so early?
Because I suggested them to issue the token. I strongly recommend them to issue the token.
So Zhao, are you a shareholder in Bitfinex?
Yes.
How long have you been a shareholder in Bitfinex?
Since 2016, October.
Zhao, as a shareholder in Bitfinex, were you aware that they were losing or that they lost $850 million?
We don't think they lost the money. The money is frozen.
Okay, tell us a little bit more about what happened.
We know Bitfinex has withdrawal problem since last year. And we know they must got some money frozen. We just don't know the amount.
So what do you mean you don't know the amount? Surely as a shareholder you should be concerned that there is money missing from one of your investments.
No, we never think there are money missing.
So you believe that the money is with certain governments and that they're going to return it soon?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, tell me about the IEO. What was the thinking behind doing an IEO?
It's easy because the thinking is very easy. They have no other choice. Bitfinex is such a company. They don't raise money if they don't want to. Well, if they don't need to.
Okay, so you say there's no other choice. What happens if Bitfinex doesn't raise the money in the IO?
If they can't raise the money, Bitfinex will not have enough money for people's withdrawal because the 850 million frozen.
So Zhao, as it stands, we know there's a white paper, and we know that Bitfinex are looking to raise about $1 billion. Do you actually believe that they're going to raise $1 billion?
I believe, yes.
Have they got any commitments for the money?
Yeah, until now, I think it's still soft commitment.
Zhao, if Bitfinex don't raise the $850 million, there'll be $850 million worth of clients that won't get their money. As a shareholder, are you worried about this?
Yes, I am worried. Yeah, why not? I was worried about that, and I know the problem.
Zhao, as a shareholder, do you know anything else that you believe we should know?
Let me tell you my feeling of the New York side.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's like mafia. Yeah, like a mafia because the New York NYSE, they know everything. They know everything. If Bitfinex was trying to do evil, they won't tell them what they wanted to do. They told them on February, right? They told the NYSE that on February that they want to credit, the Tether want to credit, give credit line to Bitfinex. They tell them first, and they did it last month.
So are you saying that Bitfinex actually told the New York Attorney General that they had a problem and that they were looking to take money from Tether before this actually happened?
Yeah, yes.
And did the Attorney General agree?
They didn't say. I think they don't tell them you can't do.
Zhao, I guess the $850 million question is, where is the money today?
The money was frozen in several countries, including Poland, Portugal, and United States.
Okay, and why was the money frozen?
That money was frozen because crypto capital did not well on KYC AML. So they had problem.
So are you saying that Bitfinex gave money to crypto capital, and because crypto capital didn't do KYC and AML to their clients, this all happened?
Maybe. No. Crypto capital didn't do well on those things, and they provide service for several crypto companies, not only Bitfinex.
So does that mean that other crypto companies have lost money here?
No. What's the name of the Canadian exchange?
Quadriga. Yeah, Quadriga X.
Yeah. Because I cannot pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce it. That exchange also is crypto capital, and they also got money frozen, and the money was unfreezed previously. That's why Bitfinex think the same thing. They thought the money will unfreeze. Sure.
Do you really think that this money is going to be unfrozen?
Yes, because the money belongs to client. It doesn't belong to crypto capital nor Bitfinex. It belongs to client.
Zhao, you mentioned earlier that if Bitfinex can't raise the $850 million or the $1 billion, then their clients essentially won't be able to get paid. If this is the case, surely it's in the industry's best interest to make sure that Bitfinex actually does raise this money.
Yeah, we hope so. We know the problem. We know all the problem, and we think Bitfinex has no intent to do evil. If they did, they won't tell the NYSE before they did those things.
Zhao, it's been a great pleasure having you on Crypto Trader, and we'll stay in touch with you to see how the raise is going. I must say, it does sound like this whole situation is very concerning and that clients may get hurt out there. I've got another shareholder from Bitfinex on the line. This time it's Simon Dixon from Bank to the Future. Simon, welcome back to Crypto Trader. Simon, I've got to ask you a question here. Simon, as a shareholder of Bitfinex, did you know that this was all happening while it was happening?
Well, while we didn't know all the details of what was happening, we did know that Bitfinex has been plagued with some banking challenges all the way through. This all began when Wells Fargo started to attack Bitfinex and the counterparty banks that were servicing the exchange. And then they had to move to other banks, and it's been a knock-on effect until eventually they ended up in a position whereby their funds had to go through a payment processor that many of the exchanges in our industry were actually using at one point. And that payment processor turns out to be Crypto Capital that allegedly has run off with the funds or commingled the funds or pocketed some of the funds.
But Sam, as a shareholder, don't you think that the board was negligent to give a company $850 million?
Well, the $850 million is a huge amount of money, and it is one of the only way that they had of actually servicing some of the demands for withdrawals and fulfilling those obligations. Now, Bitfinex did actually get a banking partnership that was able to fulfill those. But it's at the time it's a function of trying to make sure that they could fulfill services for their clients and meet demands for deposits and withdrawals in an environment whereby the banking relationship is not happy to serve such institutions that are outside of the US and servicing the crypto market.
Sam, surely they must have had some kind of risk mitigation process in place that would have protected them. I mean, something as simple as instead of giving $850 million to one company, make 8 payments of $100 million and make another payment of $50 million.
Sure. These are questions that do need to be answered. But as far as we can tell at the moment, the funds are safeguarded. The reason that this all came to be is because the crypto capital, certain government institutions decided to seize some of those funds. It's a question of how much funds do you need in. So many exchanges work off a hot wallet, cold wallet system for their crypto, but it's similar in the banking system where you have a bank account that can service money that doesn't need to be moved, and then a bank account that can service in order to meet the demands. And Bitfinex is one of the most highly liquid exchanges for trading between US dollar and Bitcoin. And therefore, I guess their risk mitigation strategy determined that that's how much they needed in the equivalent of their hot wallet in order to service the demands of all of these transactions, Tether, as a result of every single crypto to crypto exchange using Bitfinex's banking relationship in order to facilitate their growth. So we have to remember that Bitfinex through Tether became the banking partner for all of the largest crypto to crypto exchanges. The reason for Binance's astronomical growth was because they didn't have to have a banking relationship, and they relied upon Tether and Bitfinex's banking relationship in order to become the largest exchange in the crypto market.
All right, but Sam, did you know that Bitfinex had taken a loan from Tether?
All I knew that what was publicly disclosed, and that was at a certain date, they had an update to their terms and conditions stating that it's no longer, backed just by dollars, but it also is backed by other assets. But the loan wasn't actually something that they made the disclosure in their terms and conditions, as opposed to making a public announcement about the backing of that. Because from what I can tell, again, these are all my opinions. I don't have inside information. I only have what's publicly available to our shareholders on our platform and the public information. Is that the loan was actually made because they thought at all times Crypto Capital was making them think that the funds were just held up as opposed to disappeared.
Simon, have you seen any evidence that the money is actually with governments and that the money hasn't been squandered or missing?
No, I haven't seen that evidence, and Bitfinex has continually asked for that evidence, and as far as I can see from information available, they haven't been provided with that evidence at the moment. And so really it's a question of the authorities doing their work and trying to figure out where these funds are. Bitfinex seems confident. They've launched their recovery plan, and they've launched a token that will then be repaid if those funds are then recovered by the authorities because they are the rightful property of Tether.
Sam, so the team is now doing an IEO for $1 billion. Knowing what you know now, are you going to be buying in the IEO?
Personally, not financial advice, no one should follow me, but I've seen a team that is committed to solving problems in extremely challenging situations and making good on investors. Last time we invested in the shares as the hack recovered, and that was outperformed Bitcoin as an investment and was one of the most profitable investments on Bank to the Future. So I think it's completely high risk, high return, but it's a bet that I'm willing to make with some of the money that I have available for such speculation.
Sam, $1 billion IEO would make this the biggest IEO by a long way. Do you think that given all this dubious behavior and all these shenanigans and the court case, do you think that Bitfinex can raise $1 billion?
Well, EOS already raised $4 billion in the hype of the market, and Telegram did $1.7 million. And Bitfinex, I think, is very feasible that they can raise it. And from what I can see, they're pretty close to being there already.
That's Simon Dixon, and he's confident that Bitfinex can actually trade out of this. Guys, there's a $650 million hole in the market. Isn't that a big hole?
I don't think that this actually matters in the long run, right?
I have $58 of Tether.
Your $58 may or may not be safe. But I think that in a macro view over a long period of time, this is not going to matter at all. If Bitfinex blows up, if Tether blows up, there will be short-term pain for sure. There will be people who lose money, but again, this is a runaway train, right? Cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin are going to be a thing. There will be these hiccups, but I just want to keep everyone focused on the long term here. Is just it won't matter.
So it's a big hiccup, though. I mean, this is one of the biggest firms in the space. Again, the fact is, though, that there are alternatives, right? There are tons of exchanges out there, new institutional exchanges coming online this year.
But again, I think that a lot of this is just natural evolution of an industry that started out very nascent and is now trying to become institutionalized.
Always the bull. Frank Chaparro, Anthony Pompliano, it's been a great pleasure having you on Crypto Trader. Thank you very much.
Welcome to New York.
Thank you very much. After the break, we're going to be looking at the Techstars Blockchain Accelerator program, so stay tuned.